Have you ever wondered what would happen if the person you thought was just another customer turned out to be the boss, the CEO himself? Tonight, I'm going to tell you a story that will grip your heart, maybe even bring a tear to your eye, and remind you that honesty, kindness, and courage still matter in this world. And if this story moves you, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe, because we share stories here that can change the way you see life. It all began on a rainy Tuesday afternoon in a small, family-style restaurant tucked away at the corner of Maple Street. The place smelled of fried onions, fresh bread, and coffee that had been brewing too long. At first glance, it looked like any other cozy diner, but behind the warm lighting and the friendly chatter of customers, something darker was happening. Daniel, the CEO of a rapidly growing restaurant chain, walked in wearing a plain hoodie, faded jeans, and a baseball cap. Nobody recognized him. And that's exactly what he wanted. He wasn't there as the CEO, the man with the corner office and the million-dollar contracts. He was there as a customer, a man who wanted to see the truth for himself. For weeks, complaints had been coming in. Rumors whispered about poor treatment of staff, missing wages, and a manager who seemed to run the restaurant like his personal kingdom. Daniel knew he couldn't rely on filtered reports from corporate. He needed to see, to feel, to understand. That's when he met her. Her name was Emma. She was a young waitress with tired eyes, the kind that told you she carried more weight on her shoulders than anyone should. Yet, when she came to his table, she smiled. Not the fake, practiced smile you give to get through a shift, but a real one, though it trembled at the corners. She asked him if he wanted coffee, even though the pot was nearly empty, and brought it with a quiet apology, promising to brew a fresh one. Daniel watched her rush between tables, balancing trays heavier than she was, apologizing when orders were late, and even covering for the kitchen's mistakes with kindness. But as time went on, he noticed something unusual. While other waiters occasionally slipped tips into their aprons, Emma wasn't. Customers left bills on the table for her, but somehow, they never reached her hands. He saw the manager, an arrogant, heavy-set man named Carl, swoop in just after customers left and scoop up the money, the first time Daniel thought maybe he was imagining it. But it happened again. And again. By the fourth time, he knew something was wrong. When his meal was finished, Daniel called Emma over. She looked nervous, as though she expected him to complain. "You've been wonderful," he said softly. "But I noticed, you didn't take your tips tonight. Is that normal here?" Emma froze. Her eyes darted toward the counter where Carl was standing, arms crossed, glaring like a hawk. She shook her head quickly and whispered, I'm not supposed to talk about it." Her hands trembled as she poured more coffee for another table, and Daniel's heart tightened. Something inside him burned. He wanted to rip off the disguise, to shout, "I'm the CEO. This isn't how my people should be treated." But he held back. He needed to know more. The next day, he returned. Again, Emma worked the floor tirelessly. Again, he saw Carl pocketing money that wasn't his. And this time, Daniel struck up a longer conversation with Emma when the manager wasn't looking. Slowly, carefully, she opened up. Her rent was overdue. She was caring for her younger brother, who had asthma, after their parents passed away. Every dollar mattered. But Carl told her the restaurant was too tight on cash to pay her on time. Weeks had gone by with no paycheck. And the tips? He said they belonged to the house. She laughed bitterly when she said it, but there were tears in her eyes. "Sometimes I think about quitting. But if I walk out, I won't be able to buy my brother's medicine. I'm stuck. I can't risk it." Daniel clenched his fists under the table. The unfairness of it all made his chest ache. This wasn't just about money, it was about dignity, about robbing someone who gave everything just to keep going. On the third night, Daniel decided it was time. He ordered his meal quietly, watching Carl as always, then asked to speak to the manager. Carl swaggered over with the confidence of a man who thought he owned the world. "Is there a problem?" Carl asked, folding his arms. "Yes," Daniel said, standing. And this time, he pulled off the baseball cap. His voice shifted, calm, firm, but filled with authority. "The problem is you." The restaurant went silent. Emma dropped the tray she was holding. Carl blinked, confused. Daniel looked him straight in the eye. "My name is Daniel Foster. I'm the CEO of this company. And I've spent the last 3 nights watching you steal from your staff, withhold wages, and exploit the very people who make this place run." Carl's smug expression drained in an instant. His mouth opened, but no words came out. The other waiters gasped. Emma covered her mouth, eyes wide in shock. Daniel didn't yell. He didn't need to. His words cut sharper than any raised voice. "You're done here. Effective immediately. You'll be investigated for theft, and you will repay every cent you've taken." Carl stammered, tried to protest, but Daniel had already called security. Within minutes, Carl was escorted out. The restaurant buzzed with whispers, the weight of months of fear finally lifting from the staff. Then Daniel turned to Emma. His voice softened. "I owe you an apology. You should never have been treated this way. Starting today, you'll receive everything you're owed, plus a raise. And if you're willing, I'd like you to train as a shift supervisor."